Hello and welcome to This Is Scotland, the Q&A podcast. That's the midweeker where we rake through all of your correspondence and get through as many of your great questions as we can. I'm Ali Heather. I'm joined, of course, by Coinneach MacLeod. How you doing, Coinneach?
Hello, Ali. Falcha, how are you?
Terrific. Got some cracking questions for you. I've got a few that I'm really buzzing. I've got some ones about motorhomes. I've got some ones about wildfires. But let's get started with your question. What was the first question you want to answer?
Well, I've got one here from Sarah Duncan in Edinburgh. And I have to say, I didn't know too much about this. And after learning about it, I'm quite excited about this. It says, have you seen that 3 Scottish places are shortlisted for UK Town of Culture 2028? What do you think of their chances? And could the title transform a town in the way European City of Culture helped transform Glasgow in 1990? So firstly, what is UK Town of Culture? Well, it is a competition set by the government. There was over 398 applications, and it is very much to be the UK's Town of Culture for 2028. So this is everything from galleries, festivals, concerts, sport, galas, language, food, all those things. And in that final 15, there are split into small, medium and large towns. Now, Scotland doesn't have anybody in the large town category, but in the medium category, they have Leith. And in the small category, they have Lerwick on Shetland, or Lerwick, and Rothesay on the Isle of Bute. So I'm quite excited that we have some representation there. So I started to think, thinking about the contenders, and Ali, you'll know these places well as well, is, it is supposed to be these towns of culture. And so we've got 2 islands there, which I'm really excited about, but Leith first. So let's chat about Leith and do they have a great chance? And I think for many people, Leith is probably one of the coolest parts of Edinburgh. It's always been a place. It's a port, obviously the port of Edinburgh, but there's been that element of sort of cool gentrification. That's where you go for your pubs and your cool nights out. But probably for me, the thing that is most iconic, of course, is the Proclaimers. Nobody can talk about Leith without talking about the Proclaimers and their amazing song "Sunshine on Leith," of course, famously sung by Hebridean, at their games. But what's your thought on that first choice? Do you think Leith's got a good chance of getting Town of Culture?
Yeah, so I don't know what towns in England are up for it, but you can only assume they're significantly inferior. So,
well, can I tell you a few of them, Ali, then? So we've got, in the Leith category, which is medium, we have Corby, we have Great Yarmouth, and 2 in Wales, Pontypridd and Port Talbot. So they're the ones that are up against Leith in their category.
Okay, so I don't know any of them, but the Welsh ones, I'd love to go to Pontypridd, but I don't know them. I think Leith, for me, I used to live in Leith back before it got gentrified. I was maybe wave 1 of gentrification, but it's still pretty rugged. It's the most densely populated part of Scotland. The concentration of people is really high. It doesn't feel like the rest of Scotland. It's got a lot of artists based there, which always brings a bit of cool. It's got loads of bakeries where croissants cost more than £5, which I think is the sign of cool these days. But no, it's a great place to walk around. It's really vibrant. It's very diverse. It's got a number of really good independent shops, like a great independent bookshop. I think it's Argonaut Books. And I think Leith has enough standalone culture and excellence to be considered separate from Edinburgh, and I think it's in with a really good shout. I would say Leith is strong, but it is.
Yeah, I think
it's Rothesay that's most interesting. What do you think about Leith, first of all?
So I agree. I think Leith has got a really good chance. That wonderful maritime history it has. I should say loads of studios and galleries. It has one of my favourite pubs in Scotland, the Roseleaf, there as well. But I'm excited, of course, by the island ones here. So both Rothesay and Lerwick are in the small town category, along with Ilfracombe, Sandown, Strabane, I don't know where that is, Stockton as well. So that's who they're up against. But Rothesay for me, I think, is a really fascinating one, particularly with the, fingers crossed, the opening of the restored Rothesay Pavilion next year in 2027, which will be just the centre of this celebration in 2028. But for me now, the amount of festivals, Butte Fest, Butte Noir, there's a jazz festival. I was the chieftain of the Highland Games there last year. I see Butte. I often go to Butte, but when there is a lot of celebration there. So I see it always so vibrant. But at the same time, the prize is to win £3 million for your town. And I think out of the ones we mentioned, I think what a difference 3 million could make to Rothesay. I think it's maybe the dark horse, but I would be excited to see Rothesay winning it.
So I've seen Rothesay on days of non-celebration. I've been at Butte quite a lot recently. I'm taking some friends to Butte literally very, very soon, in the next couple of weeks, because I think it's stunning. I think Butte's an amazing island, but I think Rothesay really needs a good scrub. It really does. Like, it's so handsome. Its situation's ideal. I've been buting it up in Dundee, telling every Dundonian, you can get there so cheap and easy. You catch the bus or train direct to Weems Bay train station, jump on the ferry. The ferry to Butte is £8. It's a bargain. Because it's not celebrated like Skye or anything like that, the rooms are cheap to stay in. You can go and have a really good time there. But I think the culture that I've experienced in Rothesay is principally based around it having the very finest pubs in Scotland. Like, the pubs are, like the Golf Tavern down the waterfront, best pint of tenants in Scotland. There's a Syrian cafe run by a couple of Syrian guys, does an amazing breakfast. Like, I think that Rothesay is the working class hero of this group. Leith is so justified with its £5 croissant. It doesn't need £3 million. Get that money to Rothesay. I've never been to Lerwick, to be fair. I've never been to Lerwick. Have you been to?
Well, Lerwick is fantastic, and I love their strapline for that is called "Around the World's Edge," and this is about culture, and is there anywhere that has more, from Appelia to the kind of music and particularly the fiddle traditions in the town and on the island, their knitting and wool. Archaeology, the fact that, they have been part of different countries over its history as well. Yeah. So I have to say, I am going to, if I had to vote, I don't get a vote, but if I had to vote, I think having Lerwick as a town of culture 2028 would be phenomenal. I have to say, Stornoway did apply and weren't successful, so I'm rooting for Lerwick for this one for sure.
Fair enough. I'll champion Butte. You can champion Shetland on this round. So if I can start, since this is our final Q&A of this first series of the podcast, we've got tons of questions to get through. So what I'm going to try and do is just rattle through a few just in brief, just to give shout outs to all the listeners who's got in touch, because I'm really grateful. Like, it's so cool. We've had so many listeners and so much chat back and forth. Some of these are quite complex, but I'm going to get through them as quick as I can. So Emmy from Warsaw in Poland, Dzień dobry. You've talked about the most scenic roads and about travelling without a car, but I'd like to know which long distance foot trails you could recommend. So Emmy has already hiked the West Highland Way and loved it. But what other trails are there? So could I really strongly suggest, I was out recently with my mate Stephen and we walked through the Larrig Grew. That's the path that runs from Aviemore to Braemar, or vice versa. and then you can continue on Jock's Road. So that takes you from Braemar into the Angus Glens. So obviously I wouldn't recommend doing any of this unless you really know the hills, unless you have the right equipment, and like you're checking the mountain weather forecasts, all the usual provisos. But if you're an experienced hill walker, the Larrigrew is the old drove road basically that takes you right through the heart of the Cairngorms. You start out in Aviemore, you walk through Glenfeshie, which is beautifully forested, really rich bird life, flora and fauna, and then you rise up into the Cairngorms proper, and you have 4 of the 5 highest mountains in Scotland around you. And so I went up and camped up there and took a couple of mountains each day, and then continued on to Braemar. And I just say that is the best foot trail that I've walked in Scotland. So Emmy, that is my recommendation. I will jump on to the next question. Anna Marshall asks a complex one: wildfire risk and the importance of safe practice of controlled muir burning. Muir burning is viewed by many as wrong, but we desperately need to improve public understanding. So this is a hot topic, if you'll pardon the pun, in Scotland. Muir burn is the practice of some estates of burning off dead heather and dead vegetation at some times of the year to basically allow the ground to be perfect for grouse shooting. What I would say is there's been increasing wildfires in Scotland on Salisbury Crags in the middle of Edinburgh, in the Cairngorm National Park, and I've been reading the debate and listening to the debate, and one side of the argument says we need to rewild the land. Places like Glenfeshie, places outside Coinneach where the RSPB and others are rewilding, reforesting, and in doing so increasing the diversity of the habitat. That prevents wildfires. The grouse shooters are saying that they need to burn off the moors in order to prevent wildfires. It seems like there's a number of different approaches to protecting the wild lands. What I'd say the most important thing we can do is really start paying serious attention to the wildfire risk in Scotland. We need to increase our understanding of it as a population. People are still bringing disposable barbecues to the Cairngorms. Please stop doing that. Don't be having any fires at all in the Cairngorms. It's so dry and so risky. So Anna Marshall, I won't directly answer your question because as much as I'm doing reading about it, muir burn seems really contested. And so I want to learn more, and I'd encourage everyone to keep learning it and keep finding out more. I've got one more quick I'm going to squeeze in before I pass back to you. This is from our friend Fiona, who's Fiona in the Wild.
I've been wild camping all over the Highlands for the past 3 years, and I'm so grateful for the amazing land access legislation that we have here in Scotland. And as my audience has grown, I've realised that a lot of people in the rest of the UK and internationally are unaware of our very unique land access legislation, which gives us responsible access to most land. But there's also a lack of awareness that these rights don't apply to vehicles. And so I'd just love to hear your thoughts about the ever-increasing number of motorhomes and campervans that are touring around the Highlands, and a lot of the debate that this is provoking online.
Now, I'm interested in this because my partner is from the Highlands, my fiance, I should say, and a lot of people in her life get furious about motorhomes and campervans. And we're just back from New Zealand, right? Coinneach, I'll get your thoughts on this, but we're just back from New Zealand where they had a real motorhome problem. It's the perfect motorhome country. Big, wide open roads, beautiful scenery, loads of places just to camp up for the night, and not too many places to actually stay, like in terms of accommodation. So ideal for a motorhome. But they were hating all the issues that come with it. All the rubbish that gets left behind. People camping in places that are not safe and get in the way of traffic, or are on private land and invade people's privacy, or dumping toilet waste all about the place. So what New Zealand did was, you have to get a special green warrant, and you get a sticker on your van that says you have a proper functioning toilet inside the van, so you're not causing anyone problems. You've got a sealable bin, and you've got plenty of drinking water. And if you have that sticker, then the police and everyone around knows that you are properly behaving the rules and know the rules and will stick to them. And I think that's a great solution. If you don't have that, straight on the nose, $400 fine. And so that just means that everyone that gets into a camper van, you know they are self-contained and know the rules, and you also know they're being policed properly.
You're listening to This is Scotland. We'll be right back.
Ali, quick question.
Uh-oh.
You're stranded on a Scottish island for a week. What 3 things are you bringing?
I mean, it depends on the island, but I suppose, first of all, like, if you're on an island, you want to make the most of it with some good reading material. So I'm bringing the Scots magazine. If I'm on an island, there's a decent chance that there's a distillery nearby, so I'll get a good whiskey for there. And it's never as hot as I want it to be on Scotland's islands, so I'm bringing a cosy jumper.
Good answer.
I reckon. Because Scotland always has another story to tell. There's hidden history, amazing people, island life, food, travel, culture.
And for almost 3 centuries, the Scots magazine has been bringing those stories to readers everywhere.
So wherever you are,
Keep Scotland close
subscribe today at scotsmagazine.com.
and enjoy Scotland's stories every month.
So I think that in Scotland, there is a lot of anger about this. But I was looking at the Visit Scotland research. They looked at the last 5 years, up to 2024, I think it was. And 98% of people in motorhomes and campervans are from the UK. 54% are from Scotland, so it is the majority. And the majority said they felt welcome in the local area. And get this, Coinneach, this really surprised me. 95% of the campervans and motorhomes were owned. They were not rented. And so people that are in motorhomes and campervans in Scotland are mostly from Scotland, and the vast majority own their own campervans. So I would say it's not an education issue, it's a regulation issue. If these campervans are still causing problems, it's not because they don't know the rules, it's because they're choosing not to follow them. So I think the New Zealand approach of banning campervans that don't have their own toilets is a really good step. Because people know that you can't wild camp in a motorhome. You have to stop somewhere legitimate. So what's been your experience of motorhomes and campervans?
Yeah, I didn't know much about that New Zealand ruling, and I love that. That is absolutely fascinating. I might just add one more bullet point to that, which is not only do they have a toilet and a sealable bin, but that they can definitely reverse on a single track road into a passing place, because that is probably the one that frustrates people most in the Outer Hebrides. Look, I suppose more than anything else, what we encourage when it comes to road use, particularly in the Hebrides, is don't cause frustration. If you do see cars behind you, just go into the passing place or let people pass, because there's no better reward than just having good road sense. And if you're in no rush, that is absolutely fine, but there might be somebody behind you that needs to get somewhere, so just let them go by, enjoy your day, and both of you are going to have the best day as a result.
Because I'm quite pro campervan. Like, motorhomes are pretty big, but when I was down near you, Coinneach, I was at the Kennaicraig ferry, and not Kennaicraig, what's that little island? Kerrera. I was at the Kerrera ferry, and there's a young family fae Glen Rothesay who said they've got themselves a wee motorhome and they love exploring Scotland with their kids. And it was so nice. The kids were maybe coming on early teenage years, and they were just talking about how much they loved Oban and they loved the natural world around there and they loved exploring Scotland. Motorhomes open that kind of thing up to families, and I think that's so good. And that's why I really want motorhome drivers just to listen to people like you. Be so respectful, because yous are so slow and it's so annoying. Like, I love the fact that they open up the outdoors, because hotels are expensive, man. Hotels are dear. So getting out there in this affordable way is class. But my word, yous are annoying. So try where you can to stay on A roads. Try where you can to stay in places that don't get in anyone's way. And if there is a queue forming, get out the road. Get out the road. You're not in a hurry. You're on your holiday. Here, go. Public service announcement from This Is Scotland.
There you go. There you go. No, love that. Love that. Well, I've got my final question here, Ali, if you're okay with that.
Please,
and it's a really nice question from Anya Heile in Stuttgart in Germany. And she wrote, I'm a photographer and I was lucky enough to shoot Machair in full bloom in the Hebrides a few years back. But she says, but I'm reading that greylag geese are threatening the Machair. What is happening?
Yeah.
So I suppose the story on the face of it is the story of very hungry geese.
Well,
but obviously
for anyone that doesn't know, can you just summarise Machair and its vulnerability and its beauty for us?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the simplest way that I can describe Machair is it's like a very fertile piece of the beach. It is a coastal system. The wonderful thing is, this is only found in 2 places in the whole world: North and West Scotland and Western Ireland. More than 2/3 of the world's Machair is in Scotland, and predominantly in the Outer Hebrides. And so it is like a grassland connected to beach land. And some of the flowers that you find are just, I mean, they're fascinating. You know, they really are. I think there's often in one area of Machair up to 40 different plant species, from bird's foot, trefoil, lady's bedstraw, wild carrot, wild pansies, red and white clover, ragged robin, you know, things that you may not find elsewhere. But every islander will know that the best potatoes are from Machair. If you have your croft and you're planting potatoes every couple of years in there, they are the most, particularly in Uist. One of my friends, DJ and Lindsay, they have a place called Long Island Retreats. Definitely check that out if you're traveling to Uist this summer. They do croft tours on Uist. But I've had their Machair potatoes and they are spectacular because there's a lot of fertilizer that comes from the light shell kind of sand, and often that's supplemented with seaweed, which is a very common fertilizer on the islands. But firstly, it is beautiful to look at because of all the colors, and that's exactly why Anya probably was photographing them, because it's such a beautiful landscape onto that. But yes, Ali, there is this challenge. Where does this challenge come from? Well, firstly, a lot of people, maybe slightly wrongly, I hope I've got this right, that I'm saying this is wrong, but a lot of people were thinking it was Icelandic greylag geese. But I'm not too sure. I mean, they often will spend their summer breeding in Iceland. They might pop down to Orkney or Northeast, but they're probably not coming to the Northwest. This is resident British greylag.
Well, here he
geese.
goes. The Hebridean Baker's Nordic Islands comes out swinging to the Nordic again. Oh no, it couldn't be our lovely friends in the north causing any bother.
No. I love Iceland. So these are... this is kind of British greylags. They live here pretty much all year round. But what's happening is they're really coming back. I would say because of hunting, I'm talking like late 1800s, hunting, egg collecting, the loss of habitat, greylag geese were really disappearing from the northwest. And actually by the 1930s, there was only about 500 greylag geese left in Scotland. That has completely changed now. They've got legal protection for a start, and even in the late 90s, they were saying there was over 10,000 greylag geese that were, seen or counted, to say the least. The challenge is they absolutely love Machair. They love eating grass, but particularly young shoots and grain. They trample crops, they flatten crops, they strip seed heads, so that, of course, the wonderful thing about Machair is naturally those flowers and those seeds kind of blow in the wind to grow the Machair, but they're eating the seed heads of black oats and rye, etc. So it is a real challenge, even for us in Oban, geese coming onto our croft land and eating all the grass that the cows and the sheep are going to eat. So it is definitely a challenge, and there's even been there was a national goose forum that, you know, just because it's really for many crofters or many parts of the islands, it's kind of crunch time now of what should happen here. You know, does there need to be a cull or some kind of control? And it's not that this bird is bad or foreign, and you know, and it's coming to a part of the country it shouldn't be. It's just that old balance between people and animals and cultivated ground. It's kind of broken down because of this huge influx now. So it is a real challenge, and we've got to preserve what is this, as I said, this completely unique aspect of Northwest Coast identity, which is the Machair land. So I definitely don't have an answer for it, but it's something that you know, we really need to think about, because the geese ain't going anywhere. But the Machair could be lost as a result of it.
Nah, that's it's such a sensitive landscape. It's really interesting, quick, because I had some North Americans on a recent tour of mine, and they were talking about how Canada geese are reviled back in North America, where they're like a welcome visitor to Angus, where I'm from, because apparently they destroy everything in their way back home, which is news to me. I'm going to squeeze. In fact, no, I think we're going to have to. I think we'll have to wrap up there. There's so many more questions in the mailbag. Like, I love it, and
keep them wanting more, Ali. Always keep the audience wanting more.
Well, Coinneach, but that's us. Like, episode 8 came out on Monday, and this is our final Q&A of season 1. Thank you to all of our listeners. Like, we did not expect such a big listenership, so much chat on social media. Like, we were just trialing it out because we love chatting, and obviously we really enjoy Scotland, but I think Coinneach and I enjoy Scotland in different ways, so there's a lot to share and a lot to chat about. And we just wanted to see if there was anyone that wanted to chat with us about it. And there have been thousands and thousands and thousands.
Thousands, Ali. It's been amazing. Unbelievable. And again, same, thank you so much. But thank you, of course, to you, Ali, for being the best This Is Scotland co-host I could ever imagine. And I know we get a lot of questions. And again, I know you've answered this before, Ali, but just to finish, we are not related. I am not Ali's uncle, as we got asked this week. But I'm taking it as a huge compliment. So thank you to everybody who does check that. You know, this hopefully isn't the end. The more of you that write in, and you can do that, follow us on Instagram, because there'll be lots more coming up. And the Instagram handle is This Is Scotland Pod, or just follow us here. On Instagram, I'm Hebridean Baker, and Ali, you're
historic_Ali.
Or you can email at podcast@scotsmagazine.com. So make sure you message, tell us what you thought, anything at all. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope we'll see you back for season 2 very soon.
Yeah, and thanks for all your questions. And cheers, Coinneach. What an absolute joy. And thank you so much to the behind the scenes team. Honestly, there's such a great team at the Scots Magazine. You've got Danielle, you've got Rachel, you've got Beth, who just hold the whole thing together. So thank you to them. And you can keep reading us in the meantime in the Scots Magazine every month, where we both have columns.
Thanks, and we'll speak to you soon.